What's going on YouTube? It's the Buckeye Ty, and today we have a very exciting video. So last night, SMG released their 3.8 update to Risk Global Domination, and there are some very exciting changes coming to the game. So in this video, we're going to do a quick recap and go over some of the new update. So let's take a look at the patch notes. 3.8 update is here. All right, so the first thing that they go over is a new game mode called Portals. It says there's two ways to play Portals. There's stable and unstable Portals. So from my understanding, this is going to be a new game mode where it's going to introduce an added element where players can navigate across the map through portals. And I believe unstable means the portals might shift around the map. I haven't looked into this too much, but I do have to say I'm very excited to play it and check it out. Along with the new Portals update, they have made Portals, Fog of War, Blizzards, and Zombie Apocalypse all premium features to host. So you can still join these modes if you're searching for a map in the game, but you will only be able to create a new lobby if your account is a premium account. Another big part of the update is the changes they have made to the ranking system. So the first piece of this is the ranking split. So they've now split out 1v1 rankings from free-for-all rankings. So I think this is going to be a good update for the game. There's been some conversations in the community about this as well. So I think splitting out 1v1 and free-for-all is a good thing for the game. The strategies are different. And I feel like it's fitting to have two separate brackets now for these. One thing that I will be interested to see, there's a way for people to trick new players into playing 1v1. So if you fire up a new lobby and you fill up all the spots with bots except for one, for a beginner player, someone that doesn't really know what to look for, it looks like they're joining a free-for-all game, but in reality, they're joining a 1v1 game that has a bunch of bots in it. So I will be curious to see if this update does anything to prevent that, if they count that match as a 1v1, or if they still give credit toward the free-for-all rankings for that. That's been a problem in the community, so it's still yet to be seen if there were any changes for that. Another thing that's nice is within the app, you can see your rank skill point visibility. So we'll take a look at that here in a second, but this is a very nice feature. I used to have to go to an external site outside of the game to see what my skill points were and where I was at. So this is a nice add-on. Another thing with the rank is they've introduced rank decay. So my understanding of how this works is at the end of a season, your rank will drop to whatever the lowest level is at your tier. So let's say you are a master. At the end of that season, going into the next season, you will still be a master, but your rank will be the very bottom of the master tier. Now that's only if you actually played a game in that season. If you did not play a game in that season, then you will actually go down a tier. So if you were a master, you'll drop down to expert and you'll start at the beginning of the expert tier. If you go more than one season without playing a game, then you drop 2 tiers. So rank decay is something that they have added as part of this update. They also made a change with how skill points are displayed. They're dividing them by 100 now just to make them a little bit more accessible and a little bit more readable. They've made several UI updates. We'll go over those here in a second. I personally think the UI updates look very good, but we'll take a look at that. They also did some changes with how player inactivity is handled in game. Now, this has been a very big topic of discussion within the community about when a player leaves or disconnects, how the bot should act. So one strategy, if a player is not doing well in the game, if they disconnect, it's probable, or there's a chance that the remaining players in the game will kind of just discount them or count them out and not give much focus to the bot. And so it's been a way for players to kind of get around taking heavy experience point losses in a game. If they're not doing well, they'll disconnect, allow a bot to take over, and the theory is that they might finish better than they would have if they just stayed in the game. So we'll go over this. There's a couple ways, a couple different settings they've added to handle when you set up a new lobby, what a bot should do in the event that a player disconnects. They also have some bug fixes. You can go check out the full list of bug fixes, but the big one here that I'm very happy to see is that dice mode will now automatically reset to blitz after every turn. So this has been a big ask by the community. So when you're playing Risk, if there's a situation where you don't want to blitz and you just want to roll manual dice, in the past, whatever you set your dice to be, so if you manual rolled 3 die, your next turn it would still be set to manual roll 3 die, and a lot of the times players would forget, myself included, that you're not on blitz, and so then you waste a turn of manual rolling, and it's just a very annoying feature of the game. So they've listened to the community now, and now regardless of what your dice are set to at the end of your turn, going into your next turn they will always be set to blitz dice. So I feel like for me, this is like the biggest part, even though it's just a bug fix. This is probably one of the things I'm most excited about, is seeing that. So let's jump over and start looking at some of the UI changes. So you'll see here on the home screen, the first thing that they've introduced is this button that will show you your skill points for either free-for-all or 1v1. Now, I have not played any 1v1s on this account, so right now this is set to 0. And the season just started, so my free-for-all skill points are 2,416, and this account is labeled as a beginner. But this is really nice that they present these skill points in an easy manner. I no longer have to go to an external site to look those up. They also have these tooltips, which are nice. They explain different elements of the UI or features of the game if you need them. All right, so the next thing is this button down here. This button serves 2 purposes. So if you click the left part of the button, you see it says solo and it says mode. You can change the mode. So we'll click on that and it takes you to a new screen, which I think looks very nice. So on this screen, you can select what game type that you want to play. So it looks like right now it's defaulted to solo. I don't know if that's always the default or if I came in here earlier and selected this. But as you click around, you'll see it'll select the game mode that you want. So we've got a training game mode where you can play tutorials and different battle scenarios. We have a solo game mode where you can play a game against the AI bots. We have our ranked free-for-all game mode, and when you're on here, you'll see we have a switch in the bottom. So you can switch this between free-for-all and 1v1, which I think is very nice. Then we have casual. Casual also has a switch to switch between public and private games. And then we have our pass and play option. So overall, I think that this is a good enhancement. I feel like it is a better user experience than what we had prior. So I'm happy to see this. Let me go ahead and act like I'm going to fire up a ranked free-for-all lobby. We'll stick with free-for-all for now, and we'll hit battle. So we get to this screen, which we've seen before. Right now, there is a little bit of a glitch where this is constantly refreshing, so I'm sure they'll fix that soon. But if we go into the create option, this is the same. You select your map, hit next. All right, this is another screen that they've added, which I really enjoy. I like all the art too they've introduced into the game. But it lists out the different modes that you can choose from. So we've got World Domination, which just is your classic last player standing wins. We have Speed Blitz, which is control the most territories in just 5 rounds. We have 70% domination, which is instead of taking over the whole map, you have to just take over 70% of it, and the first player to do that wins. Then we have Zombie Apocalypse, which I think has been in the game for a while. I have not played this mode yet, but I'm very excited to play it. Basically, one of the players in the game is a bot who represents zombies that move around as like a horde. So there's, I've watched a couple of videos on it. It's pretty fun, but I have yet to play it. And then the final is the capitals mode, where you have like headquarters or capitals, and if you lose all your capitals, then you're out of the game. So this is nice. I feel like this is also an improvement to the user experience. And then down here, once you click on your mode, we have some quick options to turn on different settings. So this bottom left button here is for blizzards. You can turn blizzards on or off. Then we have fog of war. You can turn fog of war on or off. And then we have the new portals feature. So as we read in the patch notes, there's 2 different types of portals. So you can turn those all on or off. Then we have this modifiers option. And we'll see that these are all listed as premium exclusive features. So this was also included in the patch notes. Your account has to be a premium account if you want to host a lobby that has blizzards, fog of war, or portals turned on. Other than these 3 options here, most of the other options for setting up a game have been around already. We've got manual placement card bonus, AI difficulty, turn timer, alliances, minimum rank, maximum rank, dice rolls, and this is the inactivity behavior. This is the new feature I was talking about earlier where they included a couple ways to handle bots. So this is something the community's been engaged in for a while, discussions in, and I'm glad to see SMG is doing something to mitigate the botting issue that's been occurring. So let's just read this here. So it controls the behaviors of players who have been disconnected or inactive for a long period of time. So the first way that you can handle bots in a game is you can leave it to automated. So after 60 seconds of inactivity, the player is taken over by a standard risk AI that actively tries to win the game. So this is your default behavior. This is what we've seen before. And so if you leave this as automated, it'll just be how it's always been. A bot will try to win the game for that player and take over. The second way that SMG has given us to handle bots is to set them as neutral. So after 60 seconds of inactivity, the player is taken over by a passive AI that never makes any attacks. So if the player has still not returned after 10 minutes, then they will automatically forfeit the game. Now, I'm not sure if the player forfeits. I'm not sure what that looks like in game for the other players. I don't know if their territories still are controlled by this neutral bot and the player just takes last place, or if those territories are somehow distributed against other players. I would imagine that's probably not the case. That seems like it would be a little complicated, but we'll see. And then the third option here is nothing. So there will be no AI takeover if a player becomes inactive. However, after 10 minutes, they will forfeit the game. So SMG has given us some options here. I have yet to play a game with any of these settings, so we'll see how this shakes out. We'll see what the community likes or dislikes about this. But overall, I think it's always good to have options, and I think that this approach is better than what we have had with players, coming out at an advantage for botting and disconnecting from the game. So we'll exit out of here. Down here, we still have our little switch between free-for-all and 1v1. And other than that, I think that's pretty much it for this modes and modifiers screen. So we'll take a step back. And we've got our leaderboard menu. So now that 1v1 and free-for-all have been put into 2 different separate ranking systems, we'll see we have a 1v1 leaderboard and a free-for-all leaderboard. So I'm a big fan of this. I think it's very good to have these separated out. More leaderboards will take you out of the app, which we won't do that now. But overall, I think this is very good. I like what they've done with this update. I think it's very good for the community. There's been things that the community has asked for that we are seeing here. And overall, I think it's a very good update. So if you like this video, consider leaving a like, comment down below with your thoughts on the update. If there's things that you are enjoying about it, if there's things that you wish would have been in the update that aren't in the update, let us know in the comments below. Consider subscribing if you like this content and want to see more, and we will see you in the next one.